Welcome back to Alpine Expat. One of the biggest surprises for newcomers to Switzerland isn't the mountains, the trains, or even the cost of living. It's the language. Many people assume that because Switzerland has 4 official languages, learning German, French, or Italian will be enough. Then they arrive in Zurich, confidently speak German, and are greeted with something that sounds nothing like the German they learned. The truth is that Switzerland isn't just multilingual, it's also one of the most dialectally diverse countries in Europe. In fact, some Swiss German dialects are so different that native Swiss speakers from opposite ends of the country can struggle to understand each other. So why is Switzerland so linguistically diverse? How did these languages develop? Where are they spoken? And do you really need to learn Swiss German if you want to live here? Let's explore one of Switzerland's most fascinating cultural characteristics. Switzerland has 4 national languages. German is by far the largest, spoken by roughly 62% of the population. French accounts for around 23%. Italian is spoken by about 8%. Romansh is used by less than 1% of the population, yet it enjoys official recognition and protection. Unlike many multilingual countries, Switzerland doesn't have one dominant national language imposed everywhere. Instead, each canton determines its official language or languages. This reflects Switzerland's history as a confederation of independent regions that gradually united while preserving their local identities. As a result, language isn't just about communication. It forms an important part of regional culture and identity. When people refer to Swiss German, they're actually talking about dozens of different Alemannic dialects. There is no single Swiss German. Instead, every region, and sometimes every valley, has developed its own way of speaking over centuries. These dialects evolved from Old High German and remained relatively isolated by Switzerland's mountainous geography. Unlike Germany, which gradually standardized its spoken language, Switzerland continued using local dialects in everyday life. Today, most German-speaking Swiss grow up speaking dialect at home while learning standard German at school. This creates a fascinating situation. Swiss people usually speak dialect in conversation, but read newspapers, official documents, and books in standard German. Even television news generally uses standard German, while interviews quickly switch back to dialect. For newcomers, this can feel like learning 2 languages simultaneously. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect of Swiss German is just how diverse it is. Someone from Basel sounds noticeably different from someone in Zurich. Bern has its famously slow and melodic speech. The dialect of Valais is considered one of the most distinctive and difficult to understand, even for other Swiss Germans. Some villages in the Alps have preserved linguistic features that disappeared elsewhere centuries ago. Because of these differences, Swiss people can often identify exactly where someone comes from simply by listening to them speak for a few moments. Dialect is a source of regional pride. Rather than disappearing, local dialects remain vibrant and are spoken by people of every generation. Unlike many countries where dialects are associated with rural life or lower social status, Swiss German is used by politicians, professors, CEOs, and television presenters alike. Cross into western Switzerland and you'll enter the French-speaking region, often called Romandie. Swiss French is much closer to Standard French than Swiss German is to Standard German. A visitor from France can generally communicate without difficulty. However, there are still noticeable differences. Swiss French preserves certain older number words such as 70 for 70 and 90 for 90 instead of the French 70 and 80. Vocabulary also differs in everyday life. Certain administrative terms, public transport terminology, and local expressions reflect Switzerland's unique institutions. The accent is often described as slightly softer and slower than Parisian French. Although subtle, these distinctions immediately identify someone as being from Switzerland. The southern canton of Ticino and parts of Graubünden are home to Switzerland's Italian-speaking population. Swiss Italian is mutually intelligible with Standard Italian. Italian television is widely watched, and many cultural influences flow across the nearby border. Nevertheless, Swiss Italian has developed its own vocabulary. Administrative, legal, and political terms often reflect Swiss institutions rather than Italian ones. German and French have also influenced certain expressions over time. Regional dialects, especially the Lombard dialects, continue to survive alongside Standard Italian, although younger generations increasingly use standard forms. Living in Ticino often feels culturally closer to northern Italy than to German-speaking Switzerland. Yet the Swiss political system and public administration create a distinctly Swiss identity. The smallest of Switzerland's national languages is also its oldest. Romansh descends from the Latin spoken by Roman soldiers and settlers nearly 2,000 years ago. Today it survives mainly in parts of the canton of Graubünden. Only a small percentage of the Swiss population speaks Romansh as a first language, but significant efforts have been made to preserve it. Schools teach it. Road signs appear in Romansh-speaking regions. Federal publications are often translated into Romansh. One interesting challenge is that Romansh itself consists of several distinct regional varieties. To simplify administration, a standard written form known as Romansh Grecian was created in the 1980s. Some communities embraced it, while others continued to prefer their traditional local versions. This reflects the same strong attachment to regional identity seen throughout Switzerland. Although Switzerland's language regions appear fairly clear on a map, reality is more complex. Several cantons are officially bilingual. Bern uses both German and French. Fribourg and Valais also have substantial populations speaking both languages. Graubünden is unique in recognizing German, Romansh, and Italian. Travel through these regions and you'll notice bilingual road signs, schools, and government services. There are also linguistic enclaves where one language community exists within another. These areas have developed through centuries of migration, trade, and shifting political borders. Despite these complexities, Switzerland has maintained remarkable linguistic harmony. Rather than trying to eliminate differences, the country has built institutions that respect them. One of the most common questions newcomers ask is, which language should I learn? The answer depends entirely on where you plan to live. If you're moving to Zurich, Basel, Lucerne, or Bern, Standard German is the logical starting point. Although people speak Swiss German daily, everyone understands Standard German, and it's the language used in education, government, and written communication. If you're moving to Geneva, Lausanne, or Neuchâtel, French is essential. For Ticino, Italian is the obvious choice. If you're relocating to a multilingual canton, knowing more than one language can become a real advantage. The good news is that English is widely spoken in many international companies, particularly in finance, pharmaceuticals, technology, and scientific research. However, learning the local language remains one of the best ways to integrate into Swiss society. Switzerland demonstrates that a country doesn't need one common language to build a strong national identity. Instead, it has embraced linguistic diversity as one of its defining characteristics. Whether it's the countless dialects of Swiss German, the subtle differences of Swiss French and Swiss Italian, or the remarkable survival of Romansh, each language tells part of Switzerland's story. For newcomers, this diversity may seem intimidating at first, but it's also one of the country's greatest strengths. Learning even a little of the local language opens doors, not only professionally, but socially and culturally as well. So the next time you hear two Swiss people speaking a dialect you can't understand, remember, there's a good chance another Swiss person might not fully understand it either. Thank you for watching Alpine Expat. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with anyone planning a move to Switzerland. We'll see you in the next one.